Hey, my name's Adam Hooksema, and I'm the co-founder of Projection Hub. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the top 5 most common financial projection mistakes that we see when clients send us their projections to review before presenting to an investor or lender. We see a lot of different mistakes, and so I'm going to go through one of the most common ones we see here today, which is revenue projections that seem to be just pulled out of thin air. No assumptions backing up those revenue projections. So I'm going to show you an example of what I mean by that and what I think you should do instead. All right, so I've got pulled up here the SCORE financial projection template, which is probably the most downloaded free financial projection template on the internet. It's a solid template. The price is right. It's free. So, that's a good thing, but we think it leaves a bit to be desired here. And so I'm going to show you what I think really needs to be beefed up a bit in these projections here. So if we're trying to forecast projections for a coffee shop, we put in our coffee, the price per unit, we're selling for $5 here, and the cost of goods sold per unit is $1. And then down here, we just have to come in here and say, how many units are we selling? So we just have to kind of pick a number and say, okay, we're selling 100 units. Well, how did you get to 100 units? Why not 200 units? There's no information, no kind of thought process or logic that's built into the template that would kind of show the user, the investor or lender, why that's a reasonable number of units to sell in the first place. So let me show you kind of what we would do with one of our coffee shop projection templates and just kind of show you the thought process that we think you need to be thinking through as it comes to forecasting sales. So one way or the other, you need to think about how are you going to acquire customers. And ultimately, those customers turn into visits to your shop, and those visits turn into orders, and those orders turn into revenue, right? And so in this example, we say, okay, we're going to have an advertising budget, and we think we're going to spend $10 to acquire one new visitor to our coffee shop. We also think that, hey, organic visitors are going to be the primary way that we get visitors to the shop. So yeah, we'll do some advertising, but really it's going to be, people in the community, word of mouth, that see a new coffee shop and they're going to come and visit that way. So we have this number of total new visitors. Now, again, you could kind of be pulling this number out of the air as well, right? And so there's some danger in that. Now, one way to kind of protect yourself against just pulling this number out of thin air is to try to get a foot traffic estimate for another comparable business or a competitor's business. And so we actually partner with a company called Advan Research, which provides some foot traffic data on any address, any location that you want. So I'll kind of give you an example of what you could do here is you put in, let's say you're, in this example, like you want to look up a competitor's restaurant, you put in their address and it will tell you, hey, here is how much foot traffic, customer traffic they had last month. And it will give you that data over the last 12 months or actually over the last several years. You can get that monthly foot traffic data. So it will give you something to kind of base your numbers off of, right? So whether that number you're using here is just kind of pulled out of thin air or is it based on some research, right? So we'll put a link to this foot traffic report in the description of the video below so you can see how to get that if that makes sense for your business, if you're not sure what to use as that data point. Okay, so jumping back into the template now. So we have this idea of number of visitors, and then we want to know what percentage of those visitors become regulars, and then how many times do they visit, and then ultimately, what are they ordering to get us down to revenue here. And so you can see there's a whole lot of assumptions, a whole lot of backup here that kind of leads into forecasting revenue. So when you see, a lot of times we'll see projections that they don't even have the number of units sold times the price. They just have revenue. Month 1, we're going to do 50,000 in revenue. Well, how did you do that, right? That's what we really want to know. That's what investors and lenders are going to want to know. So you need to be able to back that up. So that's our first in our series of top 5 most common financial projection mistakes.